Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Distressed Deals Decoded. Today, what we're going to talk about is should real estate agents be doing short sales or should they stay away from them? So, over the past 2 decades, we've worked thousands of short sales. We've seen every way a lender can stall every document that we've seen every way a lender can stall every document that gets rejected and every deal that dies at the finish line for a reason that was preventable on day one. Most agents will do maybe two or three short sales during their entire career. We've lived them almost every day for the last 20 plus years. So today, what we want to share is a little bit of what that experience has taught us so that the next time a short sale lands on your desk, you don't have to learn the hard way like we have over the last 2 decades. So today, I have my two esteemed colleagues, Patrick Butler, say hello.
Hello, everybody. We're really excited about this episode today, and we've got an offer for you guys, which you just can't pass up.
And we've got my other esteemed colleague, Juan Nicasio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this live stream.
All right, so let's get into it. Patrick, I'm going to start with you.
Yep.
Why do agents avoid short sales?
Well, there are many great reasons to avoid short sales. And as you said, Steve, we've been doing this for longer than most people have even been in the business. And it's an effort, it's an art form. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the pros, cons, benefits, and then how you go about doing these. If you're not currently doing short sales, how you can get started very easily. And if you are doing them, how you can improve upon your performance with that. So, what are some common things? I speak with real estate agents for my entire career, right? Common objections that we hear is, well, first of all, short sales take too long. I've been working on this thing for over a year, 2 years, and it still hasn't closed. The buyer's driving me crazy. That's a big one. The lenders are impossible to work with. That's another one that we hear all the time, and it's understandable, right? I mean, all of these objections are not crazy. They can be dealt with, they can be prevented, but they are valid. And we're going to deal with these as we go through this podcast. I put this deal together. It was great. Bank didn't do anything in time and the deal fell apart. I lost my commission. Boom. Or commissions get cut. I found out I had my own buyer on this short sale and the bank told me I can't get my full commission. They're crazy. I hate short sales. And they're just simply not worth the pain in the neck. Again, if you don't do these all the time, we empathize with you. Going through the process, learning to fly the plane while you're building it, all of these adages are true when it comes to short sale transactions and why we believe you should follow a master plan or work with a company that does the same thing. So, every short sale that you may avoid, real estate professionals, could be a listing that you would have been able to get and have otherwise lost. You could be losing not only one commission, but several commissions,
Mhm.
follow up transactions, buy and sell side of these properties, or you might be losing future referrals. So, helping somebody out is the name of the game for real estate professionals. That's why we're in the business. And whether it's helping them with a short sale, helping them sell their starter home to move up to another property, or sell their next to last home so that they can retire is what we do. So it's vital that we at least consider whether or not these are viable deals. We believe that they are. That's the business that we're in. And we're going to kind of share why we believe that is. But the real key isn't whether short sales have challenges and they're difficult. We know that they are. It's how can you embrace them and make them manageable so that it's part of your business and a profitable part of your business. So
Thanks.
I think I'm going to pass this back to Steve because I know you've got some more things that you want to add.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. So, one of the things we've talked about, especially over the recent few weeks, we get a lot of agents who are saying, "Oh yeah, I've done a short sale, I can handle it." Well, when was the last short sale you did? Oh, back in the 08, 09 era. A lot of things have changed since then. And it's not quite the same environment, rules, and guidelines. And so, what you knew back from 08, or maybe what you had learned back from 08 and 09, it's completely changed in today's servicing environment. The other thing we hear a lot about, and I'm going to get to my next question to Juan here about this, is they say, oh, well, that's great. We know what you guys do, but we've been using these other people, flat fee, blah blah blah, and can you guys do the same thing? Well, there's a reason that agents are not using that flat fee company anymore. Is because they're not able to produce the results that are necessary because short sales inherently are not simple, are not easy, are not AI driven, are not something that can just be done simply by an a just a processing. There's more to it. There's more nuance to it. And so, Juan, why don't you tell our guests what exactly a short sale facilitator does and explain, and so we can start digging into those nuances of it's not just throwing up a bunch of paper to the servicer in the right order and saying,
Yeah.
hey, did we get it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what most people misunderstand is that this is a partnership. It's essentially what it is, right? Like, you know, unless you are a real estate agent that literally only focuses on short sales and you are the negotiator and you're sitting on the calls with servicers all day long, waiting on hold on customer service and things of that nature, it doesn't really make sense to really do it on your own. I think that, let's define what the partnership is, what responsibility, what roles is played when you find a good facilitator of a short sale. Because the thing is that most agents, their biggest fear is that they feel they lose control of the transaction, which is the complete opposite of what happens, right? So let's clarify what that is. So as a realtor, you have basically four jobs, four tasks. Maintain the client relationship, basically just making sure that your client is still on board, making sure that the client knows, what steps are being taken, that the process is being handled. Okay, just continuously making sure that that client feels comfortable with the actual transaction. Keep the listing. Obviously, you want to keep it active. You want to make sure that the listing price is where it's supposed to be, that if any changes need to be made to the listing price, that that's being done, that if you need to make any kind of adjustments because the bank requires for some sort of adjustment on the listing that to happen to manage the calls that or the negotiation of the actual buyers, right? So you're receiving an offer, making sure that the buyer understands that this is a short sale and what is going to transpire so that everyone on the real estate side of things is in full cohesiveness with the entire process so that it becomes a very, very smooth process. And then lastly, just remain that trusted advisor, right? Have enough info. You don't need to know short sale like the back of your hand, but you have to have at least the fundamental part of what it is and just making sure that all parties that are involved understand that you have a foundation, that you have a path, and that you know what you're doing and that you're going to treat this listing the way it needs to be treated as far as a short sale is concerned. Now, when you work with a facilitator like ARA, man, our we have a little bit of a laundry list. Okay, we basically take care of about what 75% you would say of what has to transpire. We have underwriting the actual file, right? Uh, Prepare lender's package. That within itself, literally, guys, is a mastery because you have to prepare a package for every single servicer the way that they want it to be done. This isn't a template where you take the same template and you submit it to every single bank, every single servicer the same exact way. So that's a huge piece that a lot of people never understand. They think it's a rinse and repeat, and it is not. It is not. Communicates with the loss mitigation team. That right there, guys, that saves you, I don't know, what, over 10 hours a week, probably, in just communicating back and forth. You're waiting 40 minutes with customer service to even have somebody answer you. So imagine having to do that every single day on multiple files. tracks the documentations. That is extremely important, guys, because what people don't understand is that if you submit a document today and there is no response or there's no action, maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now, that document might expire. Guess what? You got to start it over. We track all the documentations. We make sure that everything is being done in a timely manner, that whatever file, whatever documentation was ordered is up to date, and that the servicers are not going to have an issue with that. We resolve issues. That's ginormous. There's a lot of people that don't know about title work, the workaround of title, right? And judgments, liens, violations, and they get stuck. We have many, many files that go through the process, and even the title companies are like, hey, this file is stuck right here. We'll come in and because we've seen thousands of files, we know how we can navigate and negotiate through those issues. We negotiate approvals. Just because the servicer gives us a letter of approval doesn't mean that is the final say. There are different negotiation tactics that we're able to implement in the approval to make sure that all parties involved create a win-win-win solution. We coordinate the lender's requirements. We got to make sure that every single aspect of the requirement for the lender is hit so that we're in compliance. Compliance is a big deal. And then it keeps the file moving forward. Guys, there's nothing worse than spending 6 months, 9 months, 12 months on a file just because you didn't know the timeline, because you didn't know the process, because you didn't know who to speak to, because you didn't know how to keep track or lost track of the documentation, and now your deal is stuck. Right. So we walk through with the lender in a typical short sale, and we explain where ARA does all of these processes. We have a fine-tuned, well-oiled machine to keep these files moving forward. Okay, so that's where you marry that relationship as a realtor with ARA, is the fact you create your relationship, you keep the real estate like sticky. You make sure that that this transaction is moving forward. Everybody's on the up and up, and then let us handle all the grunt work of all of the documentation. That I feel is a perfect marriage for those that are doing short sales. So it's not so daunting, right? So it's not so daunting, and that's how you make more money doing short sales, guys. Now, Steve, back to you, my friend.
And the other thing to add to that is efficiency. One of the efficiencies that we're able to bring to real estate agents is we're often working with the various servicers, the various mortgage creditors on multiple files already. So
Mm-hmm.
when we call in, I witnessed this a couple weeks ago. We called into one of the servicers and we got an agent on board, and we said, okay, here are the 7 properties that we're currently negotiating with you. Can we go through all of them? Well, it took about a half hour, but we didn't have 7 different 40-minute hold times.
Right.
We didn't
Correct.
have 7 different people looking at the file. We didn't have, so that efficiency of bringing in was also really good for the person on the other end because they got through 7 files right away in 30 minutes rather than waiting for calls and talking to different people. And where the efficiency comes in, to your point, Juan, is all the documents were submitted the correct way, the same way on all the files, so that if there was anything that needed to be updated, they knew where to look and how to find them so that we could get it resolved quickly.
Mm. It's part of that win-win-win. I love
Absolutely.
it.
All right. So let's talk about everybody's favorite thing, commissions.
Where
So
show me the money?
yes, yeah. So let's answer the question before it's asked by everybody. And it's a big misconception, right? A lot of agents look at this and say, well, if I bring in a specialist, I'm going to lose my commission. Let me explain how we do this. So the short sales that we help facilitate have a commission split 3 ways. We split the 6% commission, 2%, 2%, 2%. 2% to the listing agent, 2% to asset resolution, and 2% to the buyer's agent. So essentially, if you look at this, is we each give 1%, right? 1% goes 1% from the listing side and 1% from the buyer side comes into the short sale facilitator. Now, if you look at the work that we're doing as compared to everybody else, we are probably doing 60 to 75% of the work, depends on what the deal is, and that's what we're handling. So, from the standpoint of something I say a lot is it's not equal, but it's equitable. And from
Mhm.
the standpoint of being equitable, all three parties are really doing an equitable position of the transaction. And so that's why it's split that way. From our standpoint, you still keep your listing, right? If you get other referrals from that homeowner, from whoever, that's yours. We have nothing to do with that, right? You still earn that commission versus going through a deal. And by working with us, the likelihood of that transaction closing is much higher. And because you're buying back your time, you probably can do two transactions or maybe even three transactions, earning the commission off two to three deals versus just one. So in the aggregate, you do make more by working with a facilitator. Any other comments, Patrick?
No,
Juan?
when I jump on this next piece, I'm going to piggyback on what you just said because I think it's a perfect segue.
Okay, so let's jump into it. So, how can the short sales fail?
Okay, so right there between getting paid on successful short sales and how they fail is the secret to the whole business model. There are some real estate agents who want to do these on their own. And by the way, our offer that we're going to make to you guys here, we have developed a do-it-yourself short sale checklist and how-to kit that we're talking about the components of right here, right now. It's dirt cheap. It's pennies actually. So we're going to come back to that, but the key is getting paid on these deals, and it's the time value of money, right? There are reasons why we have people wash our cars for us because it doesn't make sense to spend an hour washing your own car if you're a highly paid real estate professional or having your lawn mowed. But there are some people that like doing those things. So to not poo-poo them, we are going to offer you a very cool tool at the end of this thing. But Steve's question is, well, how do short sales fail? And why do they fail? And this is really the reason why we are in existence, why we want to be a facilitator for all of your transactions. But again, if you want to do them on your own, that's okay. So let's talk about how these things fail. Well, there's a myriad of reasons why short sales fail. And in all of our training, we talk about many of them being from the get-go, incomplete document packages and missed process steps, etc. But they can be very subtle as well. For example, let's say you're a busy real estate agent and there's an appraiser or a BPO agent needs to get into the property to do a valuation. And for whatever reason, you missed the call, you didn't see the email, it went to your spam folder, or you just couldn't make that appointment. And now they've gone radio silent. That appraiser is not available anymore because they are backlogged, as are all of the people that are in the loss mit space, whether they're vendors, loan servicers, etc. That's one great example. Now you've lost weeks, which could potentially kill your deal. Incomplete hardship packages that cause repeated lender rejections or requests for additional information. Now, that hardship package could be something as simple as a handwritten hardship letter, or some lenders require a mortgage assistance application or an approval to participate package. Those things need to be filled out properly. And Steve, you and I have seen these over and over again. Working on a short sale, and the homeowner puts, I want to keep the property in the little checkbox. Well, it's a little tick mark, but it blows up the entire file because the bank will then send out a decline letter and say, we are not able to help you with the short sale, blah, 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 blah. Junior liens that pop up late in the process. I can't tell you how many of these we have to deal with if we're not there managing from the beginning, but getting a short sale approved and then having the investor on the deal say, oh, by the way, there is a lien that we didn't tell you guys about that didn't show up, and we're going to need to discuss that. Well, the lender's already approved a net figure. If you've got a $6,000 or $7,000 lien, that's going to be a problem as well. Probate, title, bankruptcies that pop up in the middle of the transaction can be deal killers as well. So there are lots of ways to have these things go south on you. And if you haven't done many of them or you don't have a handy checklist to check the items off, you may miss one of these things that could be that deal killer. So it's important either way that you go about doing these transactions to follow the process to a T. Be patient, be precise, and be proactive. The three P's of short sales, different from place a sign in the yard, place it on MLS, and pray that it sells. There are two additional sets of P's, if you will, peas in a pod. So, what are some of the takeaways from this? Most of them don't fail because of the lender in particular. They fail because the process wasn't followed, the documents weren't correct. And yes, price can play a factor. Oftentimes, these things just fail because they weren't tracked correctly. And the lender has their process. And if they miss a step, they can't proceed. They don't get to go back and pass go and collect $200. So these are all very important issues that we deal with, whether you're doing these on your own or you work with a facilitator. Juan, what is it lenders are actually looking for in these short sales? And can
Well,
our
I mean,
audience succeed?
we covered a lot within the this chat here. Um, they're looking for that. They want complete files. They want to make sure that from the loss mitigation departments, when they are evaluating the file, is the file complete? Do we have all the necessary aspects of the deal in line? For example, do we have the rightful owner or borrower on the file? Like, number one, do we even have the right people? They want to make sure that when they are evaluating a file, that we have a complete package. Is that happening? Do we have, rightful ownership? How do they move up? How do a lot of these files move quickly? Well, same reason. Do you have a case where maybe it's clean as a whistle, where you don't have multiple judgments, liens? Did anyone pull title prior to submitting for a short sale? Did everyone do their due diligence? Did all of the documentations get filled out prior to? Is the listing done the correct way? Do we have all our ducks in a row? And we're able to do that. Well, you shouldn't be in a short sale for more than, I don't know, call it about 12 weeks if all those things align, but it comes with preparation, right? Why others are untouched? Because of the same exact reason, guys. Because a lot of times we're trying to piecemeal the process, meaning you submit, you pray, you hope, wait for the lender to go ahead and ask you for a document. That takes you time to get filled out, get it back from the homeowner, send it back to the servicer. It goes in a queue and it just kind of stays stuck there until they approve it, deny it, reject it, or need more information, which you're going back to the homeowner, getting it refilled out. And so now we're in a cycle for the next 6 months. That's why they end up being untouched, because you're making it very, very difficult from the very beginning, right? Importance of a complete documentation is obvious, right? If you have everything lined up and you can make it easier for the servicer, for the loss mitigation team to look at a file and all of their requirements, all of their guidelines are in a sequence, and they can find everything easily, that's going to allow your deal to move forward and you can get paid faster. Everybody wants to get paid faster. Homeowner wants to get out of this deal faster. We want to do the negotiations faster. The lender wants to go ahead and process this property before they have to go into a foreclosure and spend money on attorneys and a property preservation if they don't have to. But it comes from us. We need to be able to go ahead and complete those documentations up front, right? Setting realistic valuations. My God, do we see this often, pretty much every single day, especially when we deal with investment properties, where people don't know how to evaluate the homes. They're listing a property for either way under market, or people are submitting offers at some kind of ridiculous price, as if the lenders are not going to do their own due diligence or evaluation, right? And how do you expect to get a 50%, 60%, 70% off of the actual value of the property? You're wasting time. Okay. So realistic valuation and those expectations have to be set from the very, very beginning if you guys want this to move faster, because the lenders have the same exact data as you guys do. Okay. Constant communication. There's a difference between constant communication and over communication, right? Calling a servicer absolutely every single day for an update on the file is not constant communication. That's borderline harassment. That's borderline harassment. There is a metric, there is a guide on how often you should be contacting the servicer to go ahead and get an update, especially if you're submitting the right documentation, you got everything in line. There is a cadence that you can follow in order to be, consistently in communication, both on the lender side, homeowner side, buyer side. Okay. And then understanding the investor guidelines. And when I say investor, we're talking about the actual underlying debt, the whole, the actual person that lend or the company that lend the money. Their guidelines are maybe different from lender to lender or investor to investor. And the more you understand maybe FHA guidelines or call it Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, if you know those guidelines on all of those services, then it makes it a little bit easier for us to understand, okay, their process works ABC, one, two, three, or this lender needs, all of these documents beforehand or whatever their sequence is. The more you understand their guidelines, well, the easier the lenders are going to be in processing these files and being able to get you your pre-approval, which is what everybody is looking for in these cases, right? So again, it's really about preparation. It's about having all, the ducks in a row right out the gate. Preparation is absolutely everything so that these deals can go much, much quicker. Okay. Patrick, back to you. How do we recognize the opportunities out in this market?
Okay, so I'm going to pick Steve Schiller's brain for a minute here. Now,
Mm,
before we get to the tactical, and this is 7 or 8 tactical methods to find these short sales in your backyard, let's talk a little bit about why you should be doing short sales. Now, short sales are typically the result of a homeowner suffering a hardship of some kind, job loss, death of a family member, illness, whatever, and can no longer afford their home. Now, back in 2008, we had the Great Recession. We all knew why that happened. Investor bubble, the whole 9 yards took place. Well, Steve, what are we seeing right now in today's market that started post-COVID and is now beginning to balloon to not quite an epidemic, but to a very, very opportunistic level?
Absolutely. The market is growing in this area. Why real estate agents should be looking to add this, right, as an additional piece to their business. Um, there were so many programs that got put into place during COVID and post COVID, and we just pushed off the inevitability of people cannot afford their homes. They just can't. They either bought them too high at very low interest rates, and they've lost jobs, they've lost whatever it is that has come about, right? Financial hardships, and they can't afford their house anymore. And because of that, and because of the circumstances of what's going on in the market, they just can't afford the house, and the house is a short sale. And there's more and more opportunities that are coming up. One of the things I'm not going to go dig into, one of our other podcasts, we got into it, and maybe we'll do it again just as a repeat. But basically, what has happened is that the two of the larger programs, VA and FHA, had programs in place to try to keep people in their houses during COVID and post COVID. And this went on for approximately 3 to 4 years post COVID. So there were people who didn't make payments for 4 years, basically didn't have to make a payment for 4 years. And now we're seeing the results of that here over the next couple of years. And that's why it's starting to pop up. You take financial issues and housing prices, we got short sales.
Boom, boom, as they say. So, while we're now talking about the operational piece of this, we highly encourage you to do 2 things. One, join our school community, skool.com. Yes, it's spelled that way, skool.com. And look for asset resolution advisors. We've got tons of information in addition to this awesome short sale checklist and how-to kit to help you make those decisions. But honestly, where the opportunity exists right now is in your existing database. It's in your own
mhm.
backyard. If listings are expiring in your marketplace because of price, odds are those are required to become short sales, meaning the listing agent probably just overpriced the property, doing the math calculations. How do we get the seller out of here without bringing money to closing? Because they weren't strong enough agents to really have that discussion, or they weren't aware that short sale is an opportunity for that seller to get the best case scenario, that kind of win-win to get out of there. Properties that are currently on the market, folks, that have been on the market for extended periods of time, are going to be those expired listings. But if you've got buyers and you understand how the short sale process works, these are great opportunities. They may be great pieces of real estate that just won't sell at the current price. The seller's going to go into default. So have that conversation early with the listing agent and with the homeowner to discuss submitting offers on these properties. There you can blow it up as a buyer's agent and have either your checklist to run the short sale or partner with a company like Asset
Mm.
Resolution Advisors. Pre-foreclosure notices. Part of the benefit of being a member of our school community, skool.com, is we provide data at 25% off the rack rate from a great company called foreclosure.com for pre-foreclosures, notices of default, bankruptcies, all kinds of great triggers that present short sale opportunities. In your database, I'm sure you know somebody that's getting a divorce or suffered a job loss. As tragic as those things are, as a trusted advisor, it's imperative that we ask if they have any needs to liquidate real estate in that process. Medical hardships as well. As our society ages, there are going to be more and more situations, including reverse mortgages, that people will need to do a short sale on their property. We talk to hundreds of investors and zillions of realtors. Most people aren't even aware that you can do a short sale on a reverse mortgage. So look at those opportunities being left out. And you can do all kinds of searches in these databases now. And just payment shock from adjustable rate mortgages, or for the folks that are in all of those categories that bought in the last 3 to 4 years, that paid at the peak of the market, used low down payment mortgages, high loan to value mortgages, they're upside down and they need to short sell. So we could go on forever, and we do. We've got YouTube channels and everything else. So we encourage you to get on the bandwagon. You should be doing short sales. Juan, back to you in the studio.
Well, look, if this conversation today has sparked something in you and you start thinking, well, how do I start doing more short sales? Simply, how do I do more of that? And you're not sure where to begin, we've created a perfect first step for you guys. We have our short sale checklist and how-to guide. It's designed to specifically help real estate professionals who want a clear step-by-step roadmap to successfully do these short sales. It includes the essential documents you'll need when you're going and navigating and submitting your files, the proper sequence to keep your file moving through the lender review, as we discussed in this conversation, in this podcast, okay? You'll also get to receive the video on demand training tutorial for additional resources to walk you through the process, helping you get up and running quickly as possible, because these opportunities literally are sitting in your database in your backyard. And if you're ready to take your short sale business to the next level, we invite you to partner with Asset Resolution Advisor on your deals. We spoke about how you're going to spend months, years trying to learn it with trial and error, when you can leverage a team like ours that has more than 2 decades, guys. It's kind of hard to say, 2 decades of experience and thousands of successful short sales. We help navigate with the complexities, avoid the common pitfalls, right? Give your clients the professional guidance that they deserve while remaining a trusted advisor as they rely on you, because you're not losing control of the deal. You're actually gaining more control of this deal. There's no substitution for real estate experience. One of the fastest ways to gain the experience is by working alongside professionals who have already done it and do it every single day. So this is not something that we just pick back up. No, guys, every single day we're looking at hundreds of files. Combine that with hands-on guidance with our short sale checklist and how-to guide. You'll be building a knowledge base, confidence, and system to become true short sales resource in your market. This market is literally climbing every single day, and the people that can get sharp and have the fundamentals of this asset class, this distressed asset, is going to win the race. Thank you for joining another episode of Distressed Deals Decoded. If you enjoyed today's discussion and you found it valuable, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share this episode with another agent or a real estate professional who could benefit from it. And remember, the next time that a short sale lands on your desk, you don't have to figure this thing out alone. We're here to help. So thank you guys for watching this episode. We really appreciate your views. Make sure to get out there and absolutely crush, guys.